Hi, welcome to the Simpologist channel. Today I would like to talk a little bit about packages. Packaging material has been increasing its prices in some markets, not everywhere, but especially where I am located in Brazil. I also hear that in the UK and in some other markets, we have seen an increase in the costs for packaging. So it's important to talk about packaging. Um, Packaging is one of the most important supplies for logistics. It guarantees that your product will reach your customer intact. It presents the product to the customer, so it must have a nice appearance. It facilitates transport. So it's really, really important for logistics that you have the right packaging. But packaging raw materials like glass, aluminum, cardboard, plastic, they are commodities. So their price fluctuates. You can have situations where, for example, oil costs go down and they drive plastic costs to go down also. That kind of happened a little bit this year due to the pandemic. And you can have situations where there is so much demand for some commodity, like aluminum and other metals, for example, that the prices increase and you have a hard time passing those cost increases to your customers. So, what can manufacturers, for example, do to protect themselves from packages cost fluctuations? So, the first thing that I would mention is that you must always have at least two suppliers for every material that you use, every raw material, every packaging material. You must have at least two suppliers. So if you have only one supplier, you never know if price increase is following some market trend or if it is just your provider that wants to increase their margin. When you have two suppliers, you're a bit more protected from cost increases. It will create some competition among them. It will guarantee that they will pass up these price increases to you only in the last resort. And the other thing that you can do is what beverage companies do, for example. So most beverage companies, beer companies, for example, have at least two favorite packaging materials. So you have glass bottles and aluminum cans. These two raw materials have are commodities, but they have a different behavior in the market. So it's very, very difficult for you to see glass and aluminum prices go up at the same time. So usually, if one of them gets more expensive, the other gets less expensive, or at least maintains its price. When you have two different packaging materials, you have different characteristics because the choice of packaging material is a trade-off. You choose some characteristic over another, but also gives you some flexibility in this case. So, for example, if you have a huge price increase for the glass provider or the glass bottle provider, then you can change some of your manufacturing capacity to use the aluminum cans. and you can favor those for production and distribution. You can change the final prices and drive more customer demand towards the aluminum cans. By carefully adjusting price, discounts, this kind of thing, you can drive demand more for one and less for other, and then you can save some money on the packaging material, and you are always protected from price variations, unless all raw materials they have their prices increased at the same time, which is really hard to happen in some countries, like in Brazil and in the UK right now. There is a number of materials that their price is going up at the same time right now, but the main driver is currency exchange. So most of these materials are imported, and when you have a very strong change in the currency exchange, especially when your currency is devaluated, then prices go up, but it doesn't happen at the same rate for every raw material. You always have some local production capacity for some raw material, either cardboard, plastic, glass, aluminum. It's impossible that country has to import all of these things. So by making the right choice of your packaging alternatives, you can protect yourself from cost variations. And this is very important. We are entering a phase now of recovery after the pandemic, especially now that we have vaccines on the horizon, and probably customer demand and industrial demand will rise everywhere at the same time. Companies, manufacturing companies, and mining capacity will be hard pressed to get up to speed to follow market demand. If they get behind market demand, you can have these some of these raw materials. You can have some demand offer imbalance, and this creates these kind of material inflation. So to protect yourself from this, have alternatives. Choose different suppliers, at least two per material. There is always one supplier that will have some stock at the hand and will sell you the stock with older prices. So it's important to have different suppliers for every material, and also is important to have developed alternatives for the final packaging, especially the transport packaging, so you can adapt to the market situation at any given time. Okay, so that was my tip for today. Thank you for following our channel. Hit like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.